Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Naki and this is Cook with Naki. And today's menu we are making Kaklo, also known as mashed ripe plantain that is deep fried. Let's get started. I have here some ginger root that's about like thumb size. I have chopped onions that's about 2 tablespoons and half tablespoon of cloves and 2 grains of celery. I'm grinding this in my earthenware pot. You could use a blender for this process if you don't have the earthenware pot. I added about 1 teaspoon of chili powder. This is to your taste. If you want it more spicy, you could add more to it. I'm adding salt to taste and I'm just eyeballing it. I'm used to eyeballing when I'm cooking, so I know when to stop. But if you don't, just measure it. And also, if you're not sure, just add a little bit at a time. And if you need more at the end, you could add it later on. And this is my ripe plantain. This is extra soft, extra like ripe. And what I'm doing right now is my sauce was too much and I'm not going to use all at once. So I'm just taking it and putting it in a bowl. I'm just going to use about 1 teaspoon of that. So that's what I did. And as you can see, yeah, the plantain is really soft and that's how you want it to be. And I'm just cutting into smaller pieces into the earthenware pot. When making kaklo, you want your plantain to be soft. It makes it easier to mash. If it's not soft, it's kind of hard to mash unless you're using a blender. But the softer it is, the sweeter it also is, and it's easier for you to mash. So my plantain is done. I did not mash it to the smooth texture. It was coarse and that's how I like it, and usually that's how we do it. So I just added my blended ingredient, that's about 1 teaspoon heap teaspoon into it, and I'm mixing everything together. And this is the remaining blended spices that I blended. I'm gonna save in the freezer for future use. This is the texture of the plantain. As you can see, it's not firm enough and you don't want to fry it this way. You want to add flour to it. And all depend, if your plantain is extra soft, you might need a little bit more of the flour to make it firm. So this is what I did. I added 2 heaped tablespoons. I gave it a stir to make sure it's well mixed together, and I could tell it was still soft. It wasn't firm enough, so I added 1 tablespoon. I gave it a stir, and I'm going to add additional 1 heaped tablespoon to it. So this is how I'm testing to make sure I have the right consistency. Yeah, it might not make sense to you, but I can feel like how heavy it is when I take that spoonful. So I added 1 more to it. So in total I added 4 heap tablespoon of flour, and the consistency was perfect. You might need more flour or you might need less depending on the plantain. If your plantain is really soft like what I had today, you might need more flour, maybe even more than the 4 heaped tablespoon depending on what kind of plantain you're using. But if it's not that soft, you might not need more flour, because the more flour you add, it's going to be too hard and it's not going to taste good. So all depend on the kind of plantain you're using. So yeah, take note of that. So this is the plantain. I used 2 plantain extra salt, and I use 4 heaped tablespoons of flour for this. My Kakloo or the plantain fritters have been frying for about 7 minutes now on the medium low. Yes, always make sure you check your heat. Make sure it's not too low or too high, because if it's too low, it's going to be saggy with oil, and if it's too high, it's going to fry and not cook in the inside. And I'm turning this to make sure the other side is also well fried. And yes, in about 15 minutes, 14 to 15 minutes, our Kaklo is ready. Look how golden brown that looks. It looks really good. Kaklo or plantain fritters is best served with bean stew. That's what I'm having. or boiled beans with some red oil and some gari. You could also have it with bambara beans, or you could have it by itself with some peanuts, and yet it tastes really good. And this is how it look, and look at the inside. See how soft that is? So tasty, really sweet and spicy at the same time, and it's really filling with the beans. So good, so good. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching this recipe. I hope you loved it. I hope you give this recipe a try, and I know you will love it. Please subscribe and like this video if you did. Until I come your way next time, this is Cook with Nike. Be good to yourself, be good to everyone. It goes a long way.